Hello everyone, and welcome to The Mess. My name is Jake, also known as Plant Gay for Life, and this is a no-ID Anthurium, also known as Black Swan. Alright guys, so I think this particular topic needs its own video because it's a very proud moment for me as a plant hobbyist, whatever you want to call this crazy thing that we do, which is growing plants for fun. But I was able to self-pollinate one of my most favorite, most prized possession plants, this guy right here, my Anthurium Black Swan. Now, I did a video of this guy maybe like a year ago or something, and I told the whole backstory about where he came from and all that stuff, and you know, so I'm going to go through that again so you don't have to go back and watch that, but you can see him when he was younger and how different he looked even back then. So the story of this guy goes is back in 2021, I was importing with a friend from Indonesia, and there was a seller that I guess, you know, no red flags popped up, and he had some stuff that we thought was cool, and he sent us some pictures of some plants, and he sent us a picture of what he tagged as a Fort Sherman. Now, a Fort Sherman is a specific type, a specific form, if you will, of papillolaminum. Papillolaminum, whatever. Yeah, because there's a lot of different forms of that. We'll just call it pap. But yeah, it could have been a hybrid, it could have been a no ID, but it looked really nice. And it looked like it had some pap in there, some pap lineage. So my friend and I, we were like, you know what? Let's just pull the trigger. So we got it. It was about 150 bucks. It was a small seedling plant, but it looked promising. It had some nice characteristics. Look at me, I'm like, I should have like a pipe or so. Where was I? Totally lost track. Where am I? I'm in the wilderness right now. Oh, okay. So I paid 150 bucks. Me and my friend, we paid 150 bucks for this plant. You know, about like that big, like a seedling, a large-ish seedling, and we paid the guy. You know, the Indonesian sellers. We all kind of know that you have to really vet them because, unfortunately, there's a lot of scammers. There's a lot of great growers and a lot of great reputable sources that come from Indonesia. Unfortunately, even here in the States, over in Indonesia, Thailand, South America, you name it, there's scammers all over the place. So we didn't pick up any red flags, I didn't pick up any red flags, and he sent us some plants. He sent it to my address, and I was unboxing them and sending pictures to my friend, and she got back and she said, Jake, that is not the plant that we bought. That is not the plant that was in the picture. And I was like, oh my God, you're right. Because I looked at them like, oh my God, it's a totally different plant. He scammed us. I'm 99% sure this is what happened. He probably sent us a picture of a plant that he just took a photo of, or maybe he had one of, and then he just pulled like a cheap bench hybrid or a drag or something that he got from the local market, something that was cheap, something that was, you know, that looked sort of similar, and he tried to pull a fast one. He didn't want to pay for the actual plant that he sent a picture of, or he didn't want to send us the plant that he had sent a picture of if he actually owned it. So basically, yeah, he sent us the wrong plant. He tried to pull a fast one. It's sort of that gray area where you weren't scammed, like he didn't take our money and run per se, but it's kind of like, it's false advertising, you know, and I think it was probably through PayPal friends and family, or even if it was through goods and services, you know, he was making up all these excuses, and you probably heard this story from other YouTubers and stuff, that this is what they do. They make up a bunch of excuses, and he was saying things like, oh, I gotta take my wife to church, and oh, I gotta, you know, my kid, and da 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 da. And they just do this thing where they just came up with all these excuses, and I think what their end goal is that they want us, the buyer, to just like get tired of it and just forget about it, or say just, you know, just forget it. They don't want us to open a claim. They don't want us to think that they're an actual scammer. So they just think like, you know, make us feel sorry for them by saying, oh, I'm running around doing all these things and my car, I just crashed my car and I have no insurance. You know what, go fuck yourself. So yeah, he was doing all that. And yeah, he was saying, oh, like, you know, I'll give you this plan, just pay for shipping. I was like, no, first of all, the Fido and everything is like 150 bucks, so I'm not paying that amount of money for one more plant that you should have gotten us. So yeah, I was just pissed off all the way around. But, you know, I had this little thing that didn't look like much, and I decided, you know what, let's just grow it out. I mean, what have we got to lose, right? So I'm growing out this little bench drag hybrid, this little ugly duckling. That's what I called him. I called him Ugly Duckling. And that's what he was. He didn't look like anything special. And I don't know when exactly it happened, but at some point, maybe 4 to 6 months down the road, I just started looking at him more and more, and I was like, oh, you're actually turning into something. And I remember when he was juvenile, he was putting out these beautiful, like, shiny new penny type of emergent leaves. When I tell you they looked like copper, like brand new, shiny new penny copper, I'm telling you. I don't think I've ever seen an emergent look quite like that, especially in person. And as he would put out each new leaf, the shape would change a little bit, or the iridescence in color would get a little bit more prominent, or the lobes would change a little bit, or, you know, the sinus started to get a little bit red, and he was doing all these things, and I was like, what is going on here? So my friend and I were just kind of watching him blossom into this magnificent thing, which is what you see here. And he basically went from an ugly duckling to a beautiful swan. And we were like, we need to call him Black Swan, because he's a black swan. He's literally a black swan. As you can see, I'm looking at the screen right now. You can't even see this leaf. It is so dark, you can't even see it. He's like in the dark. Look at that. I'm trying, you know, his leaves like are so big I can't really put him back anymore, but I mean, first of all, he's so black. Second of all, he looks extremely different depending on the lighting. So right now he looks black, but I'm gonna insert some footage where he looks blue. And when he's in the right light, he is hands down, without a doubt, the bluest Anthurium I have ever seen. And that's saying something because there is, well, first of all, there's some blue regales out there that are very nice. There's also a blue pap out there that's supposedly blue. It doesn't look that blue to me, I'm just gonna be honest, guys. It's like a bluish gray, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I don't see the blue. This thing right here, I see blue, I see green, I see oil spilt for days. I see beautiful emergence in there. I see a little bit of red, I see blue, I'm seeing turquoise right now. I'm seeing turquoise in between the blue and the green. And I'm seeing light green with these neon veins. Ooh, and he's got a little button right there in the middle. He's also changed the texture of his leaves. So he is a velvet suede type of leaf. He's not matte. He definitely has some of that velvetiness to him. And he has some belate textures to him. Very subtle. I'm not talking luxuriance hybrid kind of belate, but he's got a little bit of, you know, he's got a little bit of terrain, guys. He's got a little bit of moon surface going on here. And he didn't have this when he was juvenile. He got this as he matured. And oh my goodness, I'm seeing so many colors in there. That is just insane. It's one of those plants where you look at it from different angles and you're like, oh my God, and you notice something totally new about it. This right now, he looks a little bit thin because this is technically a top cut, because what I had recently done was cut the butt. I did a bottom or butt cut, as they say, and I potted all those up, and I'm actually waiting for those to turn into their own plants, because I have never propagated him. I've never propagated him. First time I'm doing it, I was very nervous. I was like, please don't crash, please don't die. And I am seeing new root tips. So I'm very, very happy that the main guy is doing very well. The propagations, however, I'm not seeing any progress. I'm not seeing any rot. I'm just kind of seeing them stagnant. So it could go either way. So we'll just have to see what happens. But that is not the main reason why I wanted to make this video. I'm making this video because he is the first Anthurium that I was ever able to successfully pollinate myself. So I self-pollinated him, which means that I took his pollen and then I pollinated him with his own pollen. I basically inbred him is what I'm saying. And these seedlings, here's the thing, selfed seedlings, from what I've been told, from what I understand, and from what I'm seeing from my particular batch, they're not super fast like a hybrid. Hybrids tend to be very fast. Species tend to be a little bit slower. Selfed seedlings tend to be a little bit slower as well. In nature, they actually don't want to inbreed. They try to avoid inbreeding in the wild because, yeah, you don't want mutations. You want variability in your genes, basically. You want stronger genes, evolution, blah, 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 blah. So what happens when it comes to Anthurium inflorescences, which is essentially the flower that comes out, it's technically called an inflorescence, which is a cluster of flowers. What happens is it will go into two different phases, a female phase and a male phase. It's bisexual. It's an LGBT icon, people, okay? Anthuriums, they're bisexual. They're male and they're female. Who knew? What happens is that the spadix, which is the finger of the inflorescence, it will produce little droplets, little sap droplets, and that's when it's in the female phase. That's when it's in the receptive phase, and that's when it can be pollinated. So what I had to do is I had to wait for the female phase to come and go, and then what replaced those little droplets was a fine yellow dusty substance. That was the pollen, and that was the male phase. What am I doing right now? And that was the male phase. So what I did was I just took a brush, I took a little tube. Some people use like tin foil, you know, and a plastic bag. Whatever works for you. But I don't know why I have it, but I had like this little funnel thing and these tubes, and I was like, I don't know why I have this, but let's play ball. So I used that to brush all the pollen in, get all the pollen to swirly whirly down into the tube, close the tube, label it, date it, and you put it in the freezer. And I came back when he had a receptive inflorescence. So you have to wait until another inflorescence comes out. You can't do it on the same inflorescence because it goes female, then male, and if it's not pollinated successfully, it dies off. So I took that pollen out of the freezer when he put out another inflow that was in the receptive phase. I took that brush that I had and just brushed the pollen on, and I tried to do it a few days consecutively earlier in the morning. You gotta think like the pollinators. So their pollinators in the wild are bees and beetles. So they are usually active early in the morning or late at night. Late at night, like, you know, dusk. So I believe it was maybe February of 2023 where I looked at his inflow and I was like, you've been on for a while. Like, usually they last about 3 weeks, and it was like 4 weeks, 5 weeks, like a month and a half, and I was like, oh. And then one day, he looked a little bit puffy. He looked a little bit bloated, he looked a little bit swollen. I was like, oh my God. And I messaged my friend, I was like, I think he took. So that was very exciting. And yes, he made literally hundreds of berries. I wasn't able to count because it was just too many. Each berry has usually 2 seeds, sometimes 1, but more often than not 2, which is just insane. So there were so many, and I didn't harvest them all at once because they were falling off at different times and different rates, depending on, I guess, when it was pollinated and you know, when the berry started to form or whatever, all that stuff. So what I did was I took a plastic bag and I actually put it over the inflorescence so that any berries that might fall, it could catch it. And basically when the berries were like a loose tooth, you know, when you were a kid and you had that loose tooth just hanging by a thread, that's when you harvest the berries. You just like, they just fall right off. That's when they're ready. And I did that for maybe like 2 or 3 weeks. So I have seedlings now that are in various stages. Some are further along than others. They're all different sizes. Some are growing faster than others. Some are just little runts that have only put out 1 or 2 leaves within the last 6 months or so. And then I have some that are really sizing up right now. And I'm very, very excited. And as of recording this, I have released 2 batches or 2 waves of Black Swan crossed with itself. So Black Swan X self is how I label it. I've released those on Facebook groups and all that stuff. I've mentioned it on my Instagram, and I've been just doing this and just selling them to people all over the States. And they've been selling like hotcakes. And they've been selling like hotcakes for a reason. Not just because the mother and father look like this, but because the babies look like this. I'm gonna insert some B-roll right here. Look at them. They're sparkly, they're twinkle, twinkle little stars. They are little gay icons, look at that. They have a beautiful iridescence. Some of them are showing hues of blue and a beautiful lush green. And some have muted veins, some have more prominent veins. It's gonna be really fascinating to see how these guys size up. So I have some that I am seeing very significant traits or traits that I'm liking, and I'm holding those back for myself, for friends, for potential breeding down the line. And then the ones that look good and that are, growing fast, putting on some good size, they have 3 or 4 leaves or so, I am potting those up and I am putting those up for sale. So I initially did like 2 seedlings per pot, and I told my friend, I was like, how much should I sell these for? Like 10, 20 bucks? She said, oh no, Jake, no. And she gave me a price and I was like, oh, you think that's too much? Or so? No, like these things are gonna sell. And sure enough, capitalism wins. I'm just gonna be honest, guys, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. So yeah, so now I've been doing 1 seedling per pot and just kind of adjusting the price based on the market value and how fast they're selling, because I don't want them to sell too fast. I don't want them to all be gone. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I can't release all of them at once. I'll release like 30 pots at once and they'll all sell out, and then some, and I'll usually make a few more. So I'm very, very happy. Best 150 bucks I ever spent. Well, technically I spent only 75 because I split it with a friend. So, but yeah, I think that's pretty much it, guys. I mean, he was an ugly duckling. He turned into a beautiful black swan. He's more like a blue swan now. I should have called him Blue Swan. I kind of said as a joke to my friend, but also I was kind of serious, that if there is a seedling that's even bluer, we're calling him Mariana Trench. Because that right there is the darkest blue on the face of the earth. I'm just saying, right? Right? Isn't that a good name? Anyway, I digress. This lighting is so intense, it's so dramatic. Just how I like it. I like drama. Oh! You like my man bun, sir? No? You hate it? Oh well. I am very sweaty right now because I turned the AC off for these videos and it's like, what is it right now? It's like 79 degrees in here. Look at me. Ooh, I don't have my glasses on. I'm nearsighted and it's nighttime out. So yeah, my eyes are gone. That's why it's so dark in this video. I can't even see. Do I look like crap, or do I look at least like sane enough? Where's my pipe? I need my pipe. Oh wait, hold on. I did a picture on Facebook of this. Oh wait, where is it? Hold on. But there you have it, guys. That's it. No more. The video is officially over. This has been Black Swan and Jake, also known as Plant Gate for Life. Now, get out of my house.